Hey there, Pete Moriarty here. In this video, I'm going to be sharing with you why your spreadsheets are holding you back if you're using them for your KPIs and your database management of your team. So if this is interesting to you, buckle up. We're going to be going through some cool stuff. Now, I started IT consulting at 15 years of age, and since then I've grown not only my business, but helped support the businesses of many of our customers who have gone from small businesses to growth mode to then scale mode and really built amazing organizations. And one of the things that becomes really important as a business grows and scales is your KPIs, is your data-based management of the business. And for most businesses, as they're growing and scaling, it starts with just kind of like looking at the P&L, and then you start to maybe move into some things like your spreadsheets and your kind of like more formal reporting. And then at one point, you may be at the point where you've got some apps or some software that you're using to manage or run the business, and that's giving you data on how people are performing. And that might be something like billable hours, it might be something like number of jobs delivered, it might be something like number of units sold if you're selling a product. And so we start to track and develop KPIs. And these might be something that's based on an individual's performance, like maybe a sales target, it may be a team performance metric, or it might be like, I don't know, maybe a ratio or something in the business. Now, KPIs are really important in a business because they are going to help a scale business to know how the business is going and where it's healthy and where you maybe need help. It's also going to outline if you've got any individuals that are needing additional support or mentoring or care from the team, or maybe someone's got something going on outside of work, and it's going to immediately show up in the numbers. Now, I'm not a fan of running everything in the business in terms of people management through the numbers, because I think you've got to find a place where you're managing and you're using the numbers as guideposts, but then you're still, managing using a human element and working to empower your team to, work really well, empower your team to be intrinsically motivated rather than extrinsically motivated for them to, perform well inside the business and for the business to achieve the goals. But your KPIs are really important, let's say milestones or guideposts for you to know, okay, where's the business going? What areas are performing and what areas maybe need attention. For me, as the CEO of a business, I look at KPIs as just kind of like warning lights. This is an area that needs attention in a business. It's not about, oops, someone's missed their target and they need to be punished. It's about, okay, what area needs some love and what area needs some attention inside the business. And that's how I approach KPIs. Now, if you're a business and you're listening to this video, this is most appropriate to companies that are in the scale mode, businesses that have got through the early stages of startup and now they're reaching scale mode. And what we mean by scale mode is in our technology adoption guide and our growth roadmap, scale businesses are ones that have typically more than 20 employees and they've got the business model proven. Now it's just time to basically expand, and it might be expanding into new markets. It might be just hiring more people and kind of growing out the model. It might be investing in marketing and really ramping up on how the business is going. But scale businesses start to run into the challenges around compliance, performance, making sure that people are on the same page. The CEO of a scale business starts to completely get off the tools and focus all of their time on culture and innovation and things like managing the strategy of the business and less about the day-to-day doing of the business. And so if you're a CEO and you're in a scale business or you're running a scale business, then you need to make sure that you're managing by the numbers and you're aware of these numbers. And I'm going to show you some of the ways where if you're still using spreadsheets for that, you may be holding yourself back. So first up, let's talk about the actual accuracy of your data. Obviously, when you're a business and you're doing your first couple of KPIs, you're probably going to be running reports manually. Maybe you're pulling data out and profit numbers from your accounting platform, or maybe you're taking things like the number of hours that different people are billing and you're running into an app and you're running a report. And as you do your data analysis, you're probably pumping those into a spreadsheet and maybe you're creating some graphs. If you're using something like Google Sheets, that's really easy to do because you can drop the data in via a form and ensure that the data comes into your sheet in a uniform way. Or maybe you're manually entering data into a Google Sheet, and that's okay as well, and generating a live updating chart inside the Google Sheet, which is basically showing what the data is and manipulating that for you in real time. That all works fine until you delegate that task onto someone else, because if you're the business owner, you're probably not going to want to be spending all the time working with your data yourself manually. This is the kind of thing that you should have someone else prepare for you and you just kind of see what the data is at. The problem with relying on human input in making sure that the KPIs are tracked in an accurate way is that, well, sometimes people might get things wrong. Maybe they don't show up on the right day to work because they're sick or they're on holiday and the data doesn't get entered at the right time or on the right day. Or maybe you have the problem where you enter the data and you accidentally typo and you drop in the wrong number, or you get an extra zero in there. And I've had some weird things happen on my dashboard here behind me where the numbers have just been completely wrong and there's been a big spike in the graph. Now, when you're using human intervention, there is the possibility for human error. And so that's one of the biggest risks of doing KPIs on a spreadsheet or doing them manually, is because that actual human element there is just always going to be a potential risk area for you. Next up, let's talk about actually getting your data on time. Now, if right now you're getting your data and you're collecting it from different apps and systems, because most businesses have a few different apps that they need to use, your accounting is in one platform, your delivery management is in another platform, and you've got to draw in from all these data sources to the one place, the challenge that you can find is that it takes time to actually bring that data in. Someone has to go and manually run some kind of report. And if that's not automated, then the challenges with that is you may be a week or 2 weeks or even longer out of date with what's actually happening inside the business. And so you could completely miss critical changes that are happening if you're not on the ball and actually getting real-time data. Now, an example of this is cash flow. If you're in a business and you need to regularly collect from your customers, which cash flow is important to all of us, unless you're completely funded like a crazy Silicon Valley startup and have $50 million in the bank account. But for most of us, cash flow is the absolute heartbeat of our business, particularly when we're in a fast growth mode and we need to make sure that we're actually funding hiring staff, funding our marketing campaigns, and making sure that we're getting return on investment for our dollars. Now, imagine if you had a 30-day delay on knowing where your cash flow was. Imagine if in 30 days you would know whether or not you collected the cash from the invoices that you sent out. You didn't know right now. Now imagine trying to run a business like that if you had a 30-day delay on that. Imagine trying to budget. Imagine trying to make strategic decisions. Imagine if something went wrong and your invoices didn't go out for a month and you didn't find out till 30 days later. That kind of cash flow impact could completely kill a business, particularly small businesses who often don't have more than a whole month's expenses sitting in their bank accounts. It's just not how small businesses tend to run. You could run into real challenges there. And so I'm always a fan of real-time data, making sure that you have data immediately available to you so you're never waiting and wondering. So when it's time to actually, turn the ship a little bit, if you need to make some changes based on the data that you're seeing inside the business, you can do that quickly without having to wait till the end of the month. I want to start to move away from some of the problems and move to some of the advantages of using something other than a spreadsheet. And what I'm getting at here is using a dashboard like the one that I've got right here on my TV, and using a business dashboard instead of a spreadsheet for your KPIs gives you some very unique advantages. Let's first talk about data analysis and manipulation. Now, when you're a business owner and you're looking at the numbers, we want to put our data scientist hat on and go into analysis mode. And what that is going to allow us to do is actually look into the data, but try and get insights from the data. Ideally, we want to be asking questions and having the data give us answers. And with that, if we just have a spreadsheet, for us to manually manipulate that data, we're going to have to, dick around with pivot tables and moving stuff around and doing that manually. That can be a bit of a pain. With a database dashboard, what we can do is use pickers or modifiers or filters within the dashboard to bring up different kinds of data and manipulate the data that we have in front of us with no risk of breaking a formula or messing around with a cell or guessing how to set things up in a spreadsheet. Something like Google Data Studio has some great tools to be able to manipulate data while you're actually working with your business data. For example, being able to filter records so you can drill down into certain records and certain data types to give you insights on more specific areas of the business. Another one that I love is the date picker, which means that I can actually change between different ranges of data so I don't have to run a different report or completely from scratch or have one long report which has multiple years and I have to drill down into where's relevant to me. Having something like a modifier on the date allows me to drill down just to the time period that's relevant to the question that I'm looking to answer. The other biggest advantage of using a dashboard is that because the data is pulled in automatically via an API, it's always going to be up to date and it's always going to be available. You reduce the risk of any human intervention and any potential human error by having someone manually putting data into a spreadsheet, and instead it's all done by software via a connector to whatever apps you're currently using. The other great thing I love about using an online dashboard is you can actually connect your data to your accounting program, to your job management program, to your HR program. Any software that has an API can have a connector built, which will actually bring down that data automatically via a software program and automatically place it into the dashboard. Now, of course, you do need to get the formula right to calculate and visualize your data, but it only has to be done once. And then you can trust that the data is always going to be accurate based on the computer program downloading the data and completely removing the need for any human intervention, therefore eliminating the risk of human error. Now, there's plenty of dashboarding tools available on the marketplace. Google Data Studio is our favorite, but there's also Tableau, Looker, even Clipfolio is another popular one, and Microsoft have their own solution, which is called Power BI. There's plenty of applications out there on the marketplace, and for you to make a decision on which is best for you, I'd look at, well, what software provider are you working with? What business ecosystem are you using? What's the cost of these? And what's the cost going to look like if you scale dashboards to multiple team members inside your organization? The other thing is, what's your internal capability and what's the capability of the consultant that you're working with if you're working with someone outside your organization to actually build those dashboards and deliver business insights to you. There are plenty of options out there, and we would recommend anything other than trying to do it on a spreadsheet, because when you're just using a spreadsheet for your data, well, you're going to introduce a lot of potential problems. Some of the reasons we chose Google Data Studio is because it's free, it's part of the Google family. We're able to automatically connect a number of Google tools like Google Analytics, Google Ads, YouTube, and so a lot of the data just simply and easily automatically flows into Data Studio. Like everything Google, Data Studio is scalable, it runs on the cloud completely in the browser, and that means that it's really nice and easy to use, and there's amazing resources, support, keynotes, and all kinds of labs, and the whole library of community-driven content for Google Data Studio. Because it's such a popular app and it's used with so many businesses, the Google ecosystem really gives it that extra fuel behind it, whereas other commercial options need to make that up by either charging more or supporting the community themselves. Google have a great community around Google Data Studio, and we love using that, of course, being a preferred Google Cloud provider. So if you're still using spreadsheets right now, it may be time to consider upgrading to a dashboard rather than keeping your data on a spreadsheet, which has a number of risks that can pop up. If you're interested in mapping out your own dashboard or getting some help on planning out your own business intelligence journey, why not have a chat to our team? We are an expert team of Google consultants, and we can help businesses right from the smaller scale, if you're in early stages of growth mode, right up to large organizations with hundreds of employees. If you're interested in building out custom connectors between different apps so your data can be visualized inside of Google Data Studio, we can help you build those connectors between the different apps and APIs, and we can also completely create a custom dashboard for your business so that you and your team can get access to your data when you need it, and will help you to grow and run a more successful organization. If you're a scale business, you would know that the challenges you had when you were a small company and just a couple of people sitting around an office getting things going are very different as you grow and turn into an organization that needs to create IT policy, IT systems, and have your team running with you on board with great database management and great database decision making. If this is one of your challenges, you're probably going to have other challenges as well, like maybe getting your team on board with all the applications you're using, getting the business owner off the tools and making sure that your team have the right tools in their hands, and even things like change management and making sure that your team are trained on using the tools that you've given to them and making sure that everything is running smoothly and in operational flow across your business on the technology side of things. If you're interested in more support, more hand-holding, or just want to have a chat, you can schedule a free consultation with our team where we will take you through a complimentary review of your IT systems, your IT strategy, and see if there's any way that we may be able to help you. But at a minimum, we'll be able to give you some great advice on leading and growing your business with a technology strategy foundational to the success of your organization. If you're interested in that, jump on the link below, check out our website, and our team will be happy to schedule a call with you. Till next time, I'll catch you later. Cheers.